Assalamualaikum, I am Nur Ali Atika and our group will be discussing a fascinating legal case from Malaysia's Court of Appeal which highlights the complexities of contributory negligence and award of damages in road traffic accidents. And the case in question is Siti Atira binti Sapuan and Razanatul Ain binti Hassan and another. A little bit information about this case. The case of Siti Atira binti Sapuan and Razanatul Ain binti Hassan and another, 2015, Volume 4, Malayan Law Journal, page 359, was heard by the Court of Appeal in Putrajaya, presided over by Judges Muhammad Ishamuddin, Linton Albert and Tengku Maimun, with the judgment delivered on 22 June 2015. So here are the essential facts of the case. The appellant, Siti Atira, was riding her motorcycle when a car driven by the first respondent, Razanatul Ain, suddenly turned left into a junction, crossing her path. And a collision ensued, resulting to severe injuries to Siti Atira, including the fractures to her right leg. And Siti Atira sued for negligence, while the respondent claimed that she was partly to blame, arguing that contributory negligence. However, during the trial, the respondent couldn't provide solid evidence for their claim, and the session court, looking at the photos and a police report showing that significant damages to the car, in fear that Siti Atira might have been speeding. As a result, the session court held both parties equally responsible for the accident. So, feeling dissatisfied, Siti Atira appealed to the High Court, which upheld the initial decision, and both parties then took their case to the Court of Appeal and still seeking justice.
Okay, so now moving forward to the issue of the case. The issue in this case revolves around two main areas, which is negligence and the award of damages. Under negligence, the questions are whether the trial court's inference that the appellant and was also as appellant was speeding at the time of the accident was incorrect. Second, whether the car driver's police report is invalid and cannot be used as evidence, and whether the plaintiff has committed any contributory negligence that contributed to her own injury. Next, regarding to the award of damages, the concerns are whether the Rm 80,000 ringgit awarded for fractures and leg shortening is reasonable and fair. Second, whether the session courts failed to award separate damages for screen grafting, and lastly, whether the cost of a future operation awarded is really necessary for the plaintiff.
Okay, move to the next slide is contention by the plaintiff. The High Court judge initially agreeing with the Session Court judge determined that the plaintiff was speeding based on the first defendant's police report and accompanying with the fundus. However, upon review of trial evidence, the High Court disagreed with the finding of contributory negligence against the plaintiff. This discrepancy arose from two main factors. Firstly, the High Court judge believed it was erroneous to accept the finding of speeding as it relied on the first defendant's police report, which was never formally presented in court. Since the report was not tendered as evidence, it should not have been considered in the judgment. Secondly, the judge argued against assuming admissibility of evidence based solely on inclusion in the plaintiff's document, stressing the need for formal admission. Consequently, the High Court judge deemed the contributory negligence finding based on alleged speeding flawed due to insufficient evidence support. Moreover, the judge found no evidence to support the claim that the plaintiff was speeding at the time of the accident. Okay, next, the plaintiff's counsel argued that the Session Court judge's conclusion on the plaintiff's speeding lack of supporting evidence. Although the plaintiff admitted to riding at 50 km per hour, there was no evidence indicating she exceeded the speed limit. The investigating officer's testimony on the road speed limit was not cross-examined. The court disagreed with the speeding inference based on the extent of damage to the defendant's car. The judge erred in inferring speeding and contributory negligence, hence the plaintiff was not found liable and the lower court judgments were deemed erroneous. Last but not least, the plaintiff appealed the initial 45,000 ringgit damages award, deeming it inadequate given the severity of her injuries. Counsel suggested 80,000 as a fairer amount, but the High Court judge disagreed, finding the original award not unreasonably low. However, due to significant leg shortening revealed in a CT scanogram, the original award was set aside, replaced with 80,000 ringgit. This decision reflected the severity of the injuries encountered for inflation. The plaintiff's counsel also contested the lack of a separate award for skin grafting, but the High Court judge deemed the global award covering all injuries, including scarring, sufficient. Referring to the case of Musa bin Jusuf against Mazlan bin Bidin in another, where separate awards were made for fracture, scarring and skin grafting, they suggested that a similar approach should be taken in the current case, proposing 25,000 as a reasonable amount for skin grafting based on this precedent.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Hafiz Danish bin Muhammad Yazid, and I'm going to be presenting about the contentions by defendant/respondent. In its cross appeal, the defendant challenges the High Court's ruling to dismiss its appeal about the plaintiff's RM80,000 ringgit verdict from the Session Court regarding future operating costs. The defendant's learned counsel contended that the judge of the learned Session Court should not have granted any damages under this heading. The defense relied on the expert testimony of Dr. Kuldeep Singh, anak lelaki Swaran Singh, also known as the defendant witness 1, who stated that the plaintiff would not need any additional operations to treat her injuries, as well as the findings of defendant witness 1 medical report.
Moving on to the next point, we will talk about the judgment of the court and also the ratio decidendi. So for the judgment of the Court of Appeal has found that the defendant is liable for the contributory negligence, and he also need to pay some amount, which is 80,000 for the right tibia and fibula fracture with shortening, and also 25,000 for the skin grafting. Now we will talk about the ratio decidendi. So since this is an appeal case, they need to pass through the High Court and Session Court first. So in the High Court, the judge has made an error by supporting the Session Court judge decision, which is they believe that the plaintiff was speeding during the time. So the decision was made based on the evidence that was submitted by defendant at the police station. However, the evidence was not testified or submitted or present to the court, so it can't be used. Okay, next, the High Court judge also blame the plaintiff for contributory negligence. Yet there is no evidence for the Session Court, including that the plaintiff was speeding at that time. So the Session Court judge relied solely on the damage to the defendant's car and the photos to conclude that she is speeding, and this cannot be used because, as I said, the evidence used must be submitted and testified by the court. So the Court of Appeal used case of Kat Kerling and Teresa Bong Luchin and another to assess the contributory negligence. In this case, the judicial proceeding case was used in order to determine whether contributory negligence has been done by the plaintiff or not. Okay, next, for the compensation or damages, the Court of Appeal referred to the preceding case, which is Musa bin Jusuf and Mazlan bin Bidin in 2009, where separate award were given for the various injuries. So basically, there are award, in this case there are award for skin grafting and also for the right tibia and fibula fracture, which is a two different situation. So 25,000 ringgit for the skin grafting and also 80,000 ringgit was granted for the tibia and fibula fracture. So this decision was made after Court of Appeal review all the evidence and testimony from the plaintiff expert witness. So the court granted a specific composition to the plaintiff.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Wan Shaika Zazabila, and I will conclude and give some commentary about the case of Siti Atira.
So, we strongly believe that the new judgment by the Court of Appeal was deemed sensible and well-deserved by both parties. This is due to the High Court's earlier charge of the appellant with contributory negligence was deemed irresponsible and unfair due to the lack of official evidence and also cross-examination of the route speed limit. We also agree with the court decision to increase the damages for the appellant from 45,000 ringgit to 80,000 ringgit, and also the scheme grafting award of 25,000 ringgit was deemed sensible. There are three cases that mirrors the case of Siti Atira. The first one is the case of Lee Hong Leong and Heng Myun Ching 2007. In this case, it is similar to the one where the defendant argued contributory negligence for the plaintiff speeding during a road accident. However, the court emphasized the need for substantial evidence and thorough examination of relevant factors, hence making a decision mirroring the case of Siti Atira. Another case that mirrors the case of Siti Atira is the case of Abdul Malik bin Long and Wan Muhammad bin Wan Abdullah and another 2007. In this case, the plaintiff suffered a closed fracture and leg shortening. The trial court awarded 65,000 ringgit in damages, but the plaintiff argued that they were low. This case served as a precedent where the court adjusted damages based on the severity of the injury. Apart from that, the case of Musa bin Juso and Mazlan bin Bidin and another 2009 addressed the issue of separate damages for skin grafting in personal injury claims. In this case, the court granted individual awards for the plaintiff injuries, including specific amounts for skin grafting and scarring. This precedent supports the plaintiff argument in the Siti Atira case for separate damages payment for skin grafting. Thus, this case mirrors the judgment in the case of Siti Atira. This case shows crucial principles that are practiced by the Commonwealth countries to determine liability and damages in negligence cases. These principles include admissibility of evidence, which ensures only formally produced and admitted evidence is considered in decisions. Other than that, the burden of proof is placed on the claimant, and appellate courts are authorized to review lower courts. Overall, this case serves as a reminder of the values of justice, evidence-based decision-making, and equitable recompense that drive the legal system in negligence situations. It emphasizes the significance of preserving these standards in order to secure fair outcomes for all parties concerned. That's all from us. Thank you.